Welcome to Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis.
Today, I'm going to be testing out a racket that was deemed illegal at one time. It brings to mind a very expensive racket from back in my high school days from a place called Sharper Image that's no longer in business. So it took me a long time to get this racket, but I finally got it and I'm going to review it today just for you. Stay tuned. All right, guys, so what am I talking about? Illegal. Well, let me start with something that's not illegal. Caffeine. I have to say it's been a long day. It was a Saturday today, and it's been so busy. It's been busy for a year and a half, I want to say, because it's been Black Friday, and every day, because tennis is allowed. And you guys are playing it because tennis is up 40%, if you guys didn't know, because you guys are watching me and you guys are playing tennis. Wow! Thank you for coming back to the game. All right, because today I needed the morning cup and the afternoon cup. So, guys, for all you supporters out there, thank you so much for today. Appreciate it. To buy me a coffee, it's buymeacoffee.com/tennis spin. Link is below. Thank you. Anyways, quick shout out to my youngest fan out there, Elena. You are a daily fan, so you watch me every day. So glad to be part of your family. So thanks for watching. All right, so what am I talking about? Illegal racket, childhood racket. So when I was in high school, I used to go to this place called Sharper Image at Ghirardelli Square in San Francisco. Obviously, I was there just to look and mess with the cool toys that were way out of my price range. But one day when I was in there, I saw this racket that I totally forgot what the name was, but I remembered it was two-sided. So as you can see, it's hopefully the camera can see this. There's two string beds in here, as you can see by the grommets. So we got a string bed on this side, and then we got a string bed on this side. The strings actually go out to the edge of the frame. On both sides, right? Look at that. So there's actually a gap in the center of about, I want to say, an inch. It looks like an inch in between. And I never knew the name of it. I just knew of it as the two-sided racket. This one's called the Blackburne DS107 double strings. So if you're going to string this racket, you're going to have to string both sides. So you got to pay for two string jobs. But when it was at Sharper Image, I kept looking at it. I was like, man, that's kind of cool. But when I looked at the price, like everything else in there, I was like, man, that ain't cool. So I'm talking about late 80s when I was in there looking at this thing. They wanted $400, $399. That was, aside from like a Prince Boron, the most expensive racket out. And it was only sold, to my knowledge, at Sharper Image. I don't know how many of those actually sold. I have actually never strung one of these in my 33 years of being in the business. So I recently just got my hands on one of these, because I was curious. I wanted to, check out what it was all about. Upon reading more about it, this racket at one time was deemed illegal. So I wanted to try an illegal racket. So So here's the thing about this racket though. Because it has double face and it's got a wide beam and the strings are right out at the edge of the frame, it makes this whole head a sweet spot. So you can hit it out here and actually get some power out of it too. That's why it's two-sided. The thickness is power. Sweet spot goes all the way out. Kind of like a cheater's racket, right? But you got to pay for 2 string jobs on it. I got a 5/8 grip here, and I'm gonna actually see what the specs are on this, and then hopefully go out and hit with it. Okay, so let's move my coffee out of the way that I will probably finish later, and check out the specs. All right, let's see what the balance is. This is a 5/8 grip, by the way, guys. I'm just not believing that it's way out here. It's 369. Real head heavy, as most rackets were at this time. Let's hit the scale. All right, at the scale. Oh, the head heavy Blackburne. Whoa, is that right? 302 on the weight, guys. 302 grams. Super light. Let's see what the swing weight on this puppy is. It should be a high number. 354. Yep. All right, let's quickly analyze. All right, so aside from what I described to you about the racket, it's a 107 square inch head, pretty round in shape, 16 by 20, okay? It's got 20 crosses on 16 mains, so they're pretty far apart, which will impart more spin. Now, that is light. That is head heavy. That is head heavy. That surprisingly, and this is just from what I could research, that may not be true. That's pretty soft actually for a racket like this. But let's see what happens when we hit. I'm gonna take it out to the court and see how it is. All right, guys, so on the court, Blackburne, goo. And we gonna hit for you. Stay tuned. All right, so we just tried out the Blackburne DS107. Coach Goo, what did you think of that racket?
It's a very interesting racket. This is the first time I've ever seen 2 string jobs on each side, so it's like super weird. Like even the side of the grommets and stuff, like right here, this is so foreign to me. It has a lot of drag. It's head heavy for sure. The weight, it's not even on the handle. I can just feel it just from the head itself, due to the string job. A lot of drag. So if you're looking for a racket that has a ton of pop, like natural raw power, and you have to swing it around, this is the racket. It's really interesting overall. It reminds me of like, because I play with one side. What I mean by one side is I don't switch sides, so like I don't go like this. I actually just play on one side. So it reminds me of that because I usually just put on one side, so like one tension is different than the other, so it feels a little more consistent, which is interesting to me, which I kind of like. So overall, really fun racket to play with and try.
All right. So what Coach Gu is talking about when in drag is like, because all the weight is way out here, it's kind of like those hammers from back in the late 80s to 90s, like that profile. It kind of feels like a profile. Like when you bring it back, it's like, whoa, it's like a ball and chain, you know? And then when you get it forward, you got to get that ball rolling through the strike zone. You basically have to swing, which was amazing to me. It was hard to kind of push with this. It wanted you to lengthen out your swing and let it rip. So that's what I was expecting, a little more power from it. Maybe I was expecting a little too much. But once you get this thing going though, and you get used to the head weight, you just got to let it go and make sure that ball from that chain rolls through. And if it does, it will, hammer the ball pretty well. So when you hit it though, we didn't put dampeners in because I don't like dampeners, and neither does Coach.
No.
You play with a dampener? Well, he likes a dampener. Well, we didn't play with it today. Okay. Because
it didn't really need it because it was so stable.
Yeah. But it did ring though.
Yeah, it kind of was. It did sound kind of weird though.
When you hit it, it went bong, like 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
Bong,
The old school kind of clock towers.
Exactly. So it did
it's
resonate.
Weird, yeah.
But overall, very interesting racket. I can kind of understand why it was $400 back in the day. There was definitely enough power. I was expecting more power. We hit some balls off of the edge a little bit, especially me, and it was okay. It was stable. The ball went in, so it didn't torque so much because of the thicker beam.
Yeah, it's a really thick beam,
which helps.
Yeah.
So
and when I noticed the grommets is on the outside, it's really out on the frame. The grommets nowadays are in the middle, so that's why it's it still throws me off. But that's why I feel like you can hit it outside here, and it's basically creates a bigger sweet spot.
Yeah. So if it was made today, still, if these guys were in business, it'd probably do okay. I don't think anybody would want to string it though. That's the thing.
That's an expensive string job. That's just confusing.
Right.
That looks really confusing.
2 string jobs. So you got double of the weight in the head too. That's what's causing some of this drag, because not only do you have 1 set of strings, you got 2 set of strings, making it head heavier. So, this would be a $100 string job if you had to do it too. So, but overall, not bad. I would definitely recommend this for people who, want to go back to their Sharper Image early 90 days and kind of relive old glory. I mean, this is kind of very hammer-like, thunderstick-like from back in that day. Coach Gu, thank you for hanging out with me and checking out the Blackburne.
Of course.
Where can we find you?
You can find me at ag.tennis. I'll also be posting content there as well.
All right. Thank you for watching Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis.